Hi, my name is Alex Ryder, and this is my husband Brady Ryder, and we're the owners and creators of Renegade Lemonade, the only wine made from 100% lemons. We're so excited to be sharing with you the story about how we created this amazing lemon wine and all the things that you can do with lemon wine.
Yeah, today we're going to be sipping with Sub, so thank you. Looking forward to it. Cheers.
Cheers.
I have an amazing couple here with me that they came up with the coolest beverage that you can find out there for you and me that are fan of lemonade. So we have Brady and Alex from Renegade Lemonade. Thank you guys for being here today.
Yeah, thank you for having us on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So let's dive into this, how everything started, as far as like where is your background coming from, and also how you guys met and how Renegade was born. I know it's a little bit loaded question, but yeah.
Where do you want to start?
Well, I'll start with how this came about or the experience from that. So I'm getting more mature, and I've tried a lot of hobbies that I could possibly do into retirement. One of those was winemaking. And what I did is I bought a bunch of kits off Amazon and then bought equipment, used equipment off of Craigslist. And when I bought the used equipment, it came with some recipe books. I didn't look at those. I put them aside. I just made the kits. My whites were drinkable. My reds were atrocious. And so I just put it aside. You know, it's one of those things. And then COVID hit. And I was looking for something to do. And I was in my office and saw the recipe books that had come with the stuff I bought off Craigslist. I started thumbing through them, and there was one that was originally published in the 1970s. Had all these obscure recipes. It wasn't only wine; it was food and beer and wine. And I was going through it and came across a lemon wine. And I grew up in Southern California. My grandfather had a big lemon tree in the backyard, and it just reminded me of him. So I made it. It had bottled lemon juice and other stuff in it, but it turned out it was pretty good. You asked about, where I came from, my experience. Right out of college, I managed a gourmet restaurant. And the owner was a chef, and he made me train with him in the kitchen for 6 months before he'd let me on the floor. So I learned how to make sauces and stocks, break down, chicken, beef, lamb. I deveined and took more shrimp than I know what to do with, over that time, but I learned a lot. And then I got away from that and got into technology. But when this wine came out for the first time, I thought, wow, I can make this better. And so I started experimenting with fresh ingredients. I started looking on the internet for lemon wine recipes, and there's a bunch of homemade, videos, and looking through those and trying them out, experimenting with the lemons. And I found out that there's 30 plus varietals of lemons out there.
Wow.
Just when you go into a grocery store and you see all the different apples, there's the same thing with lemons. And so I asked Publix, like, hey, which ones of these can you get? And they said, we can get these 6. So I ordered those and started playing around, and they each had different complexions, like a grape or like an apple. And I started to blend them. And I started to play with the yeast. A lot of the yeast could handle the pH of the lemons. And even still, it was a challenge. But I did that, and I started playing around. And after 30 batches, we came up with this.
Wow.
And now, more important thing, how we met. So this is both of our second marriage. And one of her only requirements for a second husband was that he was a Florida State fan or a Florida State alumni. So she had high standards.
So Gators fan.
Oh, no.
No, is it different?
Seminoles.
No. That's our arch enemy.
That shows like
How much you know about
yeah, exactly.
That's okay. That's okay. But it was just something, and even the bottle, we tried to pay homage to our university.
Yeah, so Florida State's colors are garnet and gold.
Oh wow.
So if you look at the border of the label, it's garnet and gold. And the name of the horse that Chief Osceola rides on into the stadium is named Renegade.
Okay.
So we both went to Florida State, not at the same time though. I wish we weren't there at the same time, but So the name renegade, when you think of a renegade, you think of someone that goes against convention. Well, what goes against convention? Someone who's making wine out of lemons.
There you go.
So it has several meanings. It has that because we're renegades, and also because we attended Florida State and we wanted to pay homage to our school, but also our dog is named Renegade.
Awesome.
So there's a lot of
a lot of meaning there.
meaning for the name Renegade.
That's awesome. That that's very nice. Yeah, that shows that basically when I moved to US about 10 years ago, like this is me after 10 years knowing a little bit.
That's
That's
okay.
okay.
I
It's
just
all right.
know
Not
that-
everyone is into college football. That's okay.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, especially where I'm coming from, it's all about soccer. So
Yes.
so we play that. Anyway, all right. So you mentioned that you started looking at YouTube and some other like basically websites of the internet to find out what other people are doing with the lemon. So is there anybody else out there that is doing anything like this?
Nothing on a professional level. I mean, I was able to find, amateurs that are putting out different kinds of things there.
Oh.
And really, I tried some of those recipes just to see how it turned out, how it compares.
Mhm.
And one, mine's better. Uh,
Of course.
But two, those recipes, because there was one attribute of a recipe that I took. As I scaled the size, I had to change the way I was making it.
Okay.
And so some of the techniques that I was using to start with, I had to abandon and really develop new techniques or find new ways to do it.
That-
And so that was fun. And some of it was me doing research, and some of it was me. There's a big fermentation equipment and supplier called Scott Labs,
Mhm.
and they have the most incredible technical support.
They do.
You call them up and you get like ex winemakers from Napa
Wow.
on the line. And always they would ask, so what are you trying to do? And I'm like, I'm making lemon wine. And they're like, you can't ferment lemons. I'm like, well, I'm doing it. Help me with my problem. So every time I called up, they'd say, oh, you can't ferment them. And so I'd start the conversation then with, hey, I'm fermenting lemons. I've got that down, but here's my challenge. I need your help. And they would be very,
Open,
very
yeah.
helpful. And then there were some winemakers in North Georgia that I met where I started making my wine at Ingelheim Vineyard.
Mhm.
And those winemakers were just great.
They sure.
We're able to just help out. And, even when I'm making it, they're scratching their heads some, but, they were able to contribute and help out with different things. And then even when I moved up to, I make it now in upstate New York,
Mhm.
in the Finger Lakes. And those winemakers have helped with some things to better the process and just, make it a better wine.
Absolutely.
And so it's been just a great ride so far, but it's just starting for us.
I believe that, and I 100% agree. Just from witnessing the whole process within the last year or two, that I had the pleasure to meet both of you. So I want to touch base on what you just said about winemaking. What was the reaction of some of the people when they were hearing you trying to make a wine out of lemon? The first impression.
Oh, it's been one, scoffing at it, looking down on it, things like that. I mean, we've had, winemakers from top places in Napa
Hmm.
that were like, I don't want to try your wine. And then when they've seen a reaction at festivals of people coming up in reaction, come over like,
Losing out,
okay, let
right?
me try your wine.
Yes.
Right.
And then they try it and they're like, it's delicious. And if you take it for what it is, I think it's phenomenal.
Right.
It's not a fine wine, it's a fun wine. And it's something that you can get out there. It's easily drinkable. And even someone called out, I think with you said, it's a gateway wine.
It's a gateway wine.
It is. It's something, we want to get people into wine. Wines, there's so many incredible wines out there,
Absolutely.
so many varietals, so many styles. And if I can help younger people get into that, that's great.
What's truly awesome as well is because it's 100% lemon and no grapes, a lot of people can drink it that can't drink wine or typical grape wine
Right.
because they're not getting the headaches that they get with grape wines. And so there are a lot of benefits to it. And truly, it is a wine that you must try before you judge. And that's the thing. If people could just come in with an open mind, they'll be pleasantly surprised. They have to abandon their expectations of what they think it's going to taste like, because every single time we're exceeding the expectation.
Absolutely.
And that's pretty amazing. And I'll take it every time. I mean, it's just like, just try it. Please try it. And then you can tell me my baby's ugly. If you don't like it, the worst is I gave you a free sample of some wine.
Absolutely, I agree with you. I think I was in a conference with maybe like 5,000 audience, and Gary Vaynerchuk was speaking in that conference, and he had a very good point. He said it's a food strategy that he used. And what is that? He asked the audience, how many of you guys do not like oyster? Just estimated like maybe 500 people stood up and said we don't like it. And he was like, out of these 500 that stood up, how many of you guys ever tried it? And like half of the people sit down. So I think that's the same thing. Most of the people look at it, they automatically think, oh, this is another lemonade or another thing. They're like, it's probably going to be too sweet. I don't like it. Never mind, I'm not going to even touch it. But then when you start like learning about it, 100% lemon, and it's wine, and it's lemon. There's no grape here. Like, and it starts like messing with your head. And you're like, okay, now I have to try it. Even if I want to just satisfy myself to see what's the taste, I just got to try this. And then when you try it, that's it.
And one of the challenges, but it's also an opportunity that we have, is that it always exceeds people's expectation. And I ask people a lot of times, think what you think it's going to taste like.
Right.
And then try it and tell me if it matches up with that.
Okay.
And it's always, it's better. And so trying to get out the message of what it's going to taste like is, one of our challenges that we have.
That's awesome.
And I think we describe it pretty well, but still people get in this thinking of it's going to taste like a limoncello. It's going to taste like other fruit wines. It's going to be very, very tart.
Right.
We've had that a lot. It's just fun.
I love the fact that it's a surprise.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's
an
unexpected delight.
Yes.
We like to say.
Yes.
An unexpected delight.
Okay. Yeah, I 100% agree. All right. So, do you want to taste a little bit?
We're talking about tasting.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Here.
In the meantime, I know your background comes, like you mentioned a little bit. Thank you. That you were in the food industry,
Mm-hmm.
and you got to the technology, and then I've heard, I read from your website that you're coming completely from different side.
Yes.
With the education, basically industry.
Yes, I was a college professor for 15 years here in the Northwest Georgia area, and it's a complete 180 degree. However, my subject that I taught was public speaking and human communication. So I was born for this. I love to
Awesome.
talk. I love to present. I believe we sell ourselves every day. So I'm selling our brand, ourselves, and our product. And so it's just a natural extension of who I am. And it's just a lot more fun. And the best part is I don't have to grade anything.
No, that's awesome.
And I will say, when Brady was developing Renegade Lemonade, and it took 30 iterations to get this just right, because he had to adjust the yeast, the zest, the rind, the oil, all of it, just the sugar, just to make sure it wasn't too tart, too sweet. Well, every iteration was 6 gallons of wine. And I was in the middle of trying to pivot to teach online during COVID and basically redo all the work that I already did in the beginning of the semester. And this wine really came in handy.
I bet.
Every time I bottled a batch, I would have the kids deliver a couple bottles to all the neighbors. And we'd have a little group chat. And at one point we had a little form that they'd fill out.
Okay.
And it's like, what do you like about this? What don't you like? So they were my test subjects,
And they were very happy.
Yeah, they were happy with that.
All 30 of them?
Yeah, all 30 of them.
I mean, there were no complaints.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's really good. All right. Let's cheers it to you guys. Absolutely.
So good.
It is really
It's so
good.
good.
It's
I'm
really
not
good.
gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, it has, so many of the attributes of traditional wines and then a lot of other complexities.
I agree. So the aromas on this is really good. It's not like you just get a lemon aromas. Like you actually get the aromas of like that earthiness of a little bit of like the I mean, of course you get the lemon, you get that acidic and grassy notes a little bit to it. Like when I was smelling it, I was the imagination was not a lemon wine.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it has a lot of things of like Sauvignon Blanc, I guess you would say.
Right.
So the light, the crispness, you get the
The
citrus in
freshness.
there, the fresh, and then you taste it. And I mean, yes, it's got the crispness of that Sauvignon Blanc, but it's just got different dimensions.
Absolutely right. You know, part of like this whole thing that I do over here is talking about wine mainly because I feel like wine is an experience. It's not just something that you want to get to the point. No, you want to enjoy it throughout the night. It brings some really good conversation up that maybe you cannot have those conversations if you don't have wine with. And as I'm drinking this, it takes me in that experience. It takes you on a journey from the name, from the story behind it, from the bottle itself, and then the aromas that you smell it, and then when you taste it is completely different. What a great what a great choice that you guys did.
Wonderfully said.
Well
Thank
done.
you.
Thank you.
That
No,
was
thank you.
lovely. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
All right. So during COVID, we decided to do this. Now, I want to know why going to wine. I know you had those recipes and all of that, but so many people, especially during that time, they decided to do seltzer. Seltzer was booming.
Yeah, well, one, it is a wine. So that's why I went that route. I'm a wine fan. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not much of a seltzer fan or a beer fan. I like wine. I like spirits.
Right?
Seltzers, I mean, there's a couple that I'll drink, but the majority of them I didn't like. When I first created this, or we first created this, I thought I was going to put it in a 12-ounce slim can and
Okay.
compete with those seltzers. But in getting into it, one, that market is so congested and
Yes.
so many new
Loaded.
people
For
coming into
sure.
that market.
Yes.
And it's a wine.
It's
Plus,
a
the
wine.
margins are better
Mhm.
on bottles than they are on cans.
Right.
So when I look at that, it's like, how can I figure out a way to stand out? I can go into the wine market directly. Now, I mean, on our roadmap, I am going to put some other things in 12-ounce slim cans.
Nice.
Add a little bubbles to them, lower alcohol than this, but put it in there, and that's part of the roadmap that we have. Because I still think that's a huge market that can be tapped. I mean, the seltzers have shown it. The RTDs have shown it.
Absolutely.
You put a quality product out there and get quality marketing and support behind it, it'll do well.
Plus
And-
the portability aspect. I mean, I think
Right.
about that all the time, how people would love to be able to take this to the pool or to the beach or to the park and no glasses allowed. So,
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's the reason we went with wine. And things are changing all the time.
Yeah.
I didn't expect the amount of craft cocktails that people are making with this, with all sorts of things. That we'll try some with bourbon, with gin, with tequila,
Right.
with different types of
Vodka.
beer, with vodka.
yeah.
Yeah, so just across the board, I didn't expect that. And I didn't expect for it to be as accepted as it is as a wine. I mean, we still get people questioning that, but we go to festivals, and I mean, I'm not understating. We're the talk of every festival that we go to.
Yeah, I
And-
seen
and
I
even-
seen all
yeah,
of the posts.
Yeah, even 2 weeks ago, we were at St. Augustine Food and Wine Festival, and we were voted the best wine of about 100 wines there. I mean, that's just a great
That
honor
was
at a food and wine
fantastic.
festival to be voted that, and it's people's choice. So it's not the most incredible wine out there. It's the one that people like the most, and I'll take that.
You both are so inspirational to me.
Aw.
Like you inspire me a lot. I see like and I talk about you guys all the time with my clients, with my friends. And I always say it's like there is not one festival that they miss.
We try.
There's
We
you
try.
will see. I mean, people can find you in pretty much all of the festivals in Georgia.
Just look for the yellow.
Yes.
Well, it's important because it's back to it. You have to try it to experience it.
Right.
And so we can go into places and we can do tastings and we can do promotions. But you know, you get 20, 50 people, maybe or more. We go to a festival, we get 500 to 1,000.
Right.
Absolutely.
And you want to hear something really cool? We
Yeah.
tend to see some of the same people at different festivals. Most recently, I was in Deerfield Beach for the Ocean Brews and Blues Festival. And a few people came up to me and said, "Oh, I saw you at the Dania Beach Seafood and Wine Festival.
Yes.
And I saw you at the Visit Lauderdale Food and Wine Festival." So it's nice to have that recognition. And even more fun and heartwarming is when people come up to me that are friends of friends that have been gifted a bottle of Renegade
Oh,
Lemonade. And or they know who I am through a friend and said, "Oh, my friend Randy said I had to come and meet you." And that just warms my heart. That makes me feel so happy when things like that happen.
that's awesome. Now I have to ask you this. Have you ever had any of your students reaching out to you about the wine?
Well, funny that you should ask that, Seb. Most of my students, I taught for 15 years, and I've been out now of higher ed for 2 years. And some of my students are pushing 30 years old, so I don't want to give away how old I am. But I am counting on these fantastic students to help us with Renegade Lemonade, because let's face it, it's just Brady and I and our 23-year-old daughter, and we can only do so much. Now, this is our brand, and we're very very involved, and we don't want just to have anybody representing us at tastings. So I'm proud to say that several of my students are actually doing tastings on our behalf. And since they were my former students and I have trained them to properly speak and present, it's really a win-win for everybody.
That's awesome.
So,
That's really good.
yes.
I love it. I love it. No, this is good. So, um, what is your favorite cocktail that you make with this?
The bourbon cocktail is my favorite.
Is
I
it?
mean, I'm a big bourbon fan. So an old fashioned
Oh,
specifically.
nice.
And my old fashioned too. I just like a little bit of other stuff other than the bourbon in there. It's not one that, has a bunch of simple syrup or
Mhm.
other things in there. Bourbon with a little bit of sweetness to it, a cherry that's macerated, a little bit of an orange peel, to give that flavor. I mean, that's my old fashioned.
That's pretty
And
awesome.
so I worked to create a cocktail that was based on that. Well, I can't take credit for the origins of it. There was a guy on TikTok that made a cocktail with Jameson Orange Irish whiskey and our wine. And he has a couple million followers, and he's like, this
Awesome.
was one of the top 3 cocktails ever made, ever tried. It's fantastic. It's this, it's that. I tried it. It was great. But I thought the Jameson orange did have a little bit of a chemical taste to the orange. So I made my own orange simple syrup and paired it with a nice bourbon. And then I started playing around too, and I added a little rosemary. And
Okay.
it just added another hint to it. But it's
Yes.
really good. I've got 2 versions. I've got one that's similar to a whiskey sour and another that's similar to an old fashioned.
Awesome. I cannot wait.
Yeah. So those are my, what's
I
your
know.
Taste
favorite?
that.
I
baby?
can't wait for you
Yeah.
to try it, because I'm not a bourbon drinker and I enjoyed it very much.
What's your favorite cocktail?
Oh, I don't know. There's so many. Really, I mean, the margarita is super refreshing. We have made a special cocktail with ghost tequila, which
Okay,
is perfectly
yeah.
spicy, and just some ghost tequila, Renegade Lemonade, and agave. It's
That
delicious.
sounds
It's like
delicious
a
too.
light,
Really
refreshing margarita, and the sweetness and the notes from the lemon wine counteract the spiciness, and it just
Right.
blends together. And really, when I'm creating this, for me, it was about balance.
Hmm.
And I approached it from the artistic cooking side.
Right.
When I created it, was balance. How do I get the ingredients to work in concert with each other?
Right.
And so that's how I created it. One thing I must say is, as we've got up into production size, I've had to get away from that
Hmm.
and move more to the chemistry.
Okay.
Because something I did notice is my background is technology outsourcing after I left restaurants. And so I've employed that in what we do. So I have a company in Florida that buys the lemons globally according to my recipe, and they turn it into juice.
Okay.
Then they ship it to my production facility, it turns it into wine. And it's something where at each stage now they send me the labs, and I compare them against previous things, look at
Like
what's
sampling.
going, have a sample of it, taste it through the process. So I've had to get away from that artistic, creative way in this one. I'm still doing that with some milers,
Right.
but go to the chemistry. I want to keep it as consistent as possible.
Right.
So when it comes to that, like going a little bit back, did you make that taste on something that makes you satisfied with the taste of it, or were you going after the like basically market and audience out there?
I was going with where it led me.
Okay.
With where it led me from there, and really the sugar. There's not a lot of sugar. You get the sugar when you first taste it, you get that sweetness, and then it sort of mellows over time.
Right.
But the sugar only adds about 1 gram of sugar per serving, which is 8 calories, 7 or 8 calories. But the sugar is a perfect counterbalance to the acids from the lemon. It's similar to when you cook, you add salt to a dish, and it gets to a point where all the flavors pop.
Right.
The sugar does the same thing with the lemon.
And I like the balance in alcohol too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not there, you don't get it. You get a little bit warmness right here, but very, very smooth. And I know somebody told you guys it's dangerously good.
Yeah.
It's
Would they agree with that?
Yeah.
that's accurate.
Yes, yes. Yeah, you will see.
We've looked down and there were a few bottles gone before.
Yeah. Speaking of that, so for yourself, for your, I mean, I know you usually come to my store and get cases of this, and like take it with you. But do you drink it all the time? Do you drink it during the winter, during the summer?
We drink it.
We like to
drink
say
it a lot.
we like to say every season is lemon season, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I don't get tired of this. I mean, maybe it's that I make it, but I try it and I just think it's still wonderful every time.
We have to keep
But-
trying that just to make
Yeah,
sure
Yeah.
that it's still
But
wonderful.
I'm a big, big red wine fan. Like
Okay.
big reds, oaky buttery Chardonnays were my go-to. Not a sweet wine fan. I do like dessert wines,
Mm-hmm.
but not a sweet wine. But this is just a different take, and it's technically a semi-sweet wine, but still it just has those attributes
Mhm.
that I don't find in normal wine,
Absolutely.
and I enjoy.
Which is interesting to me because as you are well known and aware of this, wine as a drinker or like someone that works in the industry was always a scary area to step in because there's so many people, they call themselves the snobs, they can be a sommelier or not, and they make it so tough for some of the consumers to even enter because they think in order to drink wine you should know all of these words, you should know all of this, like your
Right.
palate should be so much
Right.
sophisticated. And now you explaining that you like that big bold red wine and you don't like a sweet wine, and then you enjoy this all day long, throughout all season, all year long. So that's for those that they have a guard in front of themselves when it comes to lemonade, the Renegade Lemonade.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun, and I mean, I know this is a bold statement here, but you can take an incredible red wine that is rated in the high 90s, and you could give it to 100 people, and I bet there's probably 30 people that are like, just don't like it,
Right.
kind of thing. I bet you take those same 100, and there's probably 5 to 10 that don't like mine.
I just feel that lemon
I
is
mean,
a universal flavor. There's not many people that don't enjoy the taste of lemon.
Right.
Yeah, they may say I prefer something else. I mean, that's fine.
Which is nothing wrong with
Yeah,
that,
nothing
but
wrong
yeah.
with that. But there are very few people that say they don't like this.
Right.
I mean, and the people that have said it is like beer drinkers that are like,
drinkers.
I only drink beer, and they try it and they're like, okay, I still only like
Beer and
And then there's a guy like, I don't like lemons at all. I've got a
Wow.
couple people that are like, I don't like lemons at all, and they're like, but I'll try it.
And they're rare.
Yeah.
I mean, there are people that don't like lemons, but I've met more people that like lemons.
then
Don't
don't.
like
That is correct. That is correct. So, have you ever thought about putting that for rating and get a rates on it?
So we have. I reached out to half a dozen other rating agencies, the higher end ones, as well as some other ones. Like there's, I can't remember the name of the guy or the agency, but he specialized in things under $20.
Mm-hmm.
So he did reach out several times over email, didn't hear back. reached out to wine inspector, enthusiast, and stuff.
Nice.
Spectator actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, we're not going to rate it, but we'd like to try it."
Oh, that's
So I sent
awesome.
them a couple bottles. But other than that, haven't had to do it. We have entered wine competitions, and we've got several 90 ratings from wine competitions, several gold, double gold,
Awesome.
Silver.
silvers through there, and we're just going out, getting it out there. But somebody someday will do a review on it.
Absolutely.
One of the
One day.
magazines.
And it would be soon.
Well,
That day is coming soon. Like I said, like you guys are killing it out there, and I am so honored to knowing both of you and being here tonight, sitting down with you.
Thank you. It's actually our honor to be here.
Oh,
so thank you for
absolutely.
having
Thank you.
us.
absolutely.
Thank you. All right, perfect. Do we want to maybe try one of those awesome cocktails?
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
we have
give
several
it a
up
try.
our sleeve to share with you.
That's
So
awesome.
why don't you guys can talk if you want. I can
Okay,
make them, or
that'd be
whatever
great.
you do. We can
Yeah,
bring it
sure.
over and you can cut it. And
All right, I'm gonna have some more wine because I'm not. Do you need some? Or you
Oh, please.
need that.
You're gonna need the Renegade.
So, if I do have more to.
I'm going to take some of this.
Sure, please. So, if you don't mind, this time we take it in a journey, and I'm more interested to learn and hear about the failures and the failing journey of basically creating this awesome beverage.
Well, all the best inventors failed several times, right?
Right?
Brady, what do you think?
So Alex and I will split this one. This is the bourbon cocktail.
Thank you.
So this is bourbon. It's 2 parts bourbon,
Cheers.
a little
Cheers.
bit of an orange rosemary simple syrup, and then 1 part Renegade Lemonade.
It is good.
Isn't that good?
It
That's
is
so
I
good.
mean, it is. It's just amazing the way it mixes with things.
Absolutely. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you get the bourbon, you get those,
The
the
lemon.
caramel
Yeah.
hints, you get the toastiness, you get a little sweetness, you definitely taste the orange and the
Definitely get a lot of
rosemary,
it, yeah.
and the lemon just blends it all together.
Oh, he even brought the big rock.
Yeah, I was looking at this.
Hey, you
Like, that's a
can't have
pretty
an
cool-
old-fashioned
yeah.
without a big rock.
That is his requirement.
That's cheers
Yeah.
to that one. That's
And-
perfection.
Yes.
And drinks and wine taste better in crystal, so you gotta have
This
that.
is a fact.
This is a fact, actually. I
It
was
is.
thinking about that. I was like, maybe I should be like creative and coming up with that. But then I was like, well, now you're gonna like made a
Yeah.
confirmation.
So,
for
so
that
we've
moment.
tested this one out. When we're done with this, and we don't have to drink the whole thing, but
No, I'm gonna
Um,
drink the
Pressure.
whole thing probably.
so we have several other creations that we have. We mix it with ginger beer. That's a great one.
It's so refreshing.
We
the
mix it with
ginger
sweet
and the lemon.
tea.
Okay.
We
I
make
like that sweet tea.
spritzers with it, which you can make spritzers out of a lot of wines.
Right.
You can't mix it with sweet tea. You can't mix it with ginger beer. But then we also heat it up in the winter. And per bottle, we add 2 tablespoons of brown sugar and a cinnamon stick.
Okay.
Throw it in a crock pot for 2 hours on low. It's the most lovely hot toddy.
It's
Oh my
so
God.
And
good.
you can drink it like that, or you can add some bourbon to it, and it's even better.
I like the bourbon idea.
And in that one, you were saying earlier about how you just taste a little bit of the alcohol.
Right.
When you heat it up, the alcohol, you
It actually
taste it. It, like,
increases.
you taste it
Oh, wow.
going down your throat like you do in high end bourbon.
Right.
You taste that, so it's really good. But
I almost can't wait for hot toddy season.
Yes,
I know, right? Already.
yeah. And one of the others that I'm playing around with, and I was gonna let us try, is
Please.
mixed with Guinness.
Okay.
Because Alex and I are going to Ireland in the fall, and we're going to spend a week there.
Very
And
excited.
we were like, hey, what can we make, that we can bring into the Irish pubs?
Because we have to bring Renegade Lemonade
Yeah.
to Ireland.
And I could mix it with the Jameson Orange. I could do that, although I don't know how many Irish people actually drink Jameson Orange,
Right.
as opposed to just Jameson. But I thought, hey, what can we do? And Guinness was one of the candidates. And if there's a beer that I'll drink, it will be Guinness. I just like the bitterness of it and the smooth taste of it. And I was like, how can I mix this with the wine?
Right.
And I started doing some research, and there was a New Zealand rugby team that by accident had ordered Guinness mixed with lemonade. And they liked it so much it became the official drink of the rugby club. So I was like, okay, well, maybe I can mix it. I started playing around. It's pretty darn good. Yeah, so I'll let you guys try
Okay.
it.
And you have to share the fun fact. We would be remiss if we didn't mention.
Go right ahead.
So Renegade Lemonade, as I mentioned earlier, is named after our dog Renegade.
Right.
But a fun fact that many people don't know is that Brady also had a dog named Guinness.
Okay.
This is no coincidence, ladies and gentlemen. I think he likes
He's
to name his
after-
dog
yes.
after alcohol brands. So. Although Renegade was named before we invented Renegade Lemonade. So,
That's pretty cool.
but I can't wait to try the Guinness and Renegade. We'll have to come up with a name for it.
Guinness lemonade.
Guinness Renegade?
Let's see if I got the separate. Okay, I got some. Here for you guys.
Oh wow.
Pretty.
It's
All right, cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah,
Doesn't
this
that
is
look
about
pretty?
half Guinness, half Renegade Lemonade.
Cheers.
All right.
Thank you
Give it
so
a cheers.
much.
Let me know what you think of it.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Yeah.
You got to put this in a can.
I mean, isn't that good?
Okay, we need to have a meeting with Guinness when we're over there.
Yes, we do. I mean, Guinness,
Oh,
if you
wow.
watch this, reach
Guinness.
out to us. We'd love to talk to you.
You know where to find us.
Yeah, it's just
Absolutely. Speaking of that, where they can find you,
so they can find us at Total Wines.
right?
So we're at the Total Wines in Georgia, South Carolina, and soon to be North Carolina and Florida.
Nice.
And about several hundred other places, but all in the southeast right now.
I
So-
think what he means is our website. right?
Website as well,
So
yes, please.
renegadelemonadewine.com
Mm-hmm.
and on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at Renegade Lemonade Wine.
Awesome. Absolutely.
This is good. And
It
I'm
is
not a
good.
beer drinker. So this is good.
So we're going to turn some Irish folks on to this next.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yep.
Over there.
Right now, you're turning Irish folks, you're turning the American people, turning like Persian folks, everybody to this.
Well, our mission statement is to elevate and celebrate the lemon. And so we're trying to do that in a variety of ways. I mean, this Renegade Lemonade is just the entry for us.
Right.
It's the start. I mean, I'm finalizing my sparkling version right now that we're going to have out. I'm going to play around with some things. I mean, grapes on the different side of the street could taste different because of the elevation, the wind flow, things like that. I'm sure lemons are the same way.
Right.
Just no one's experimented with that. So over time, we'd love to do like single grow, single country, single region, and doing some research. What's
You
up
need to
there?
tell Seth about the Persian. We did a version with Persian lemon.
Yeah.
Have you?
We
We
did one
did.
with Persian sweet
Ooh.
lemons.
We did.
How was it?
Unfortunately,
it didn't turn
Oh.
out well. Because the sweet lemon, I don't know if you've tried one, when you bite into it,
Right.
it tastes like an orange. 5 minutes later, it's
Is
bitter.
exactly
So I made it. The
didn't
wine turned out
translate
bitter.
well.
right.
But I still have a case at home. So this was
We
our
can bring you a
chiropractor.
bottle and
Yeah, our chiropractor gave us a bushel of the
Persian
lemons that
lemons
came
from his
from his-
tree,
his
from his
farm.
family's land.
Yeah, down in Orlando, I
Yes.
think.
No. Oh yeah. Down in Orlando.
Central.
Isn't it very unique that
It-
you
it
have
was.
that sweet taste
Mhm.
and 2 seconds later it's
Yeah,
completely
I was like,
changed?
wow, this
Yeah.
is really good. And then you like bite into it again, you're like,
oh.
Oh, yes.
so.
But we did make that and named it after him in his honor.
Nice.
He was our chiropractor.
Oh,
Yeah, but back to the regions too, in doing the research, all signs point to that there's a region in Northeast India called
Mhm.
the Assam region that was the birthplace of lemons.
okay.
And so I think it would be cool to go there and actually do a wine that's with those lemons from that region. Even call it like origins. But it'll be fun doing those over time, just experiment.
Right.
Uh,
So you mentioned in this, I guess my question would be, where's the limit? I know the sky is the limit for you guys, but is there anything that you would like, okay, I feel like if I get to that level and portfolio as far as like I have five different type of wines, I'll be good and all the stuff. Is that anything like that?
we want to make lemon wine an accepted varietal.
Okay.
We actually want to make it its own category and have it recognized and accepted and loved.
I
But
love
right now,
that.
we have to prove every single day that
And
we're a
I'd
thing.
love to have other people making lemon wine and doing different things with it and put it out there. I mean, that's fine. It will be healthy competition.
Well,
Right.
not right away now.
Yeah, I don't want one of the big guys doing it, but I'd love some smaller vineyards playing around, see what they can do. I mean, you think about it. I mean, thousands of years ago, someone made a determination that grapes are going to be what wine are made of,
Absolutely.
and it makes incredible wine.
Absolutely.
But it could have been something else.
I love it.
I mean, wine just has to be made from fruit. It doesn't have to be made from grapes.
I mean, I heard they've made avocado wine.
Oh, but that's not fruit, is it? But they have.
I think.
And dandelion and
avocados-
other stuff that are out there. Some of those country recipes, along with lemon wine.
Wow. So how is the aging this look like?
So it's something that we keep, several cases of each batch. And as we go through, we do
You're experimenting.
compare and experiment. We launched our first or delivered our first retail customer 2 years ago this week.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that crazy?
yeah,
Happy anniversary then.
Thank you.
and
Yeah, I'm gonna
it's
cheers to
something
that.
I know.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
amazing.
thank you for that.
Cheers.
I forgot the question.
We were talking about aging.
Oh yeah, aging. So we do break it out, break out some old bottles and stuff, and it mellows a little bit. It's a little smoother. You don't get a little bit as much of the tartness on the front end, but it ages well.
Right.
And so I've had ones that I've been opening from 2.5 years ago, and they're still doing well. So it ages well.
Yeah.
And once it's open, something that our on-premise customers like, it stays good 3 to 4 weeks
Right. Right.
because the acidity.
That's one of the best selling points for on premise. I mean, what wine out there, white wine, has a
can't.
refrigerated shelf life
any
of
wi-
1
any
month?
wine.
Any wine. And how much wine are customers pouring down the drain because
Absolutely,
it's
you
turning
know.
bad?
No, absolutely right. The only wine that comes to my mind would be port if it would stay a little bit long,
Yeah.
but it's still not 3 weeks.
Mhm.
But having this, I think like this is gonna become a necessity for the adult out there.
I agree.
Just keep a bottle in the fridge. No, this is good.
Are you surprised about the Guinness?
I am.
I am too. This was the first time I'm trying it. FYI, Brady was experimenting with this last week while I was in
Oh,
Florida.
so it's
He was
really
literally
new.
doing
I
this on
honed
his
the
own.
recipe. Yeah, it was something
Yeah.
recent that I was just playing around with.
He was
and I'm like,
texting me going, "You need to try this." Oh my gosh.
That's awesome. Well, I'm honored that you announced it here.
I know.
Yeah, no, this is
Fun.
good. This is good. So if I want to rate between the two cocktails that I have so far, it would be first Guinness and then bourbon.
Okay.
And I would say because I feel like it's super unique taste
Mhm.
with
It's
the
different.
correct. With the bourbon, it takes me a little bit to the old fashioned,
Mhm.
and it's a familiar taste to me. But when I drink the Guinness with it, and I'm like, what is this? My brain is still trying to analyze this. I'm
Me
like,
too,
what is
because
this?
I'm not a beer drinker, and if I occasionally drink a beer, it's going to be a lighter beer.
A lighter
I stay
beer.
away from dark beers, so this is very attractive.
Absolutely.
You did well.
Thank you.
I'm just saying.
You did great, just like
Lots of
any
testing.
other of them. Yes.
Lots of
testing.
testing.
So, how is this support system between you guys?
I mean, it's great. I mean, we both share a lot of the same attributes, but then we have a lot to complement each other.
That's lovely.
sure.
Yeah, I mean, she's better with people and following up with people and forming relationships, and I'm better at the making this side of it.
So you completely quit the job and
I
full
resigned
time
from
with.
teaching. I was actually 5 years away from retirement, which
Wow.
isn't a long time, but it was just too long for me to hold on because Renegade had such explosive growth. And I just have to give a shout out to the educators of this world. God bless all of you. I know I've been there. Doesn't matter if you teach K through 12 or higher ed. It's a lot. And teachers are overworked and underappreciated, and they need all the wine. But there was no way that I could do 5 years because we were just growing and growing and growing. And who's going to walk away from their job, the technology executive or the professor?
both of them.
Yeah.
We're hoping to get there, but it was hard because I also didn't want to it was hard. It was easy to let go, but yet it was hard to let go because I was so invested at the college and I still have strong ties there, but there's so much that goes into teaching outside of the classroom. There's so much planning, there's
Mm-hmm.
grading, and college professors have a lot of additional responsibilities put on their shoulders, and it was just too much. And I thought if I'm gonna be working 80 hours a week, it's got to be for our family and our brand and our future and our legacy rather than what I was doing. I mean,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, I know I made a difference and it was important and I cherish all of it, and I still have people come up to me that, whether they're a server at a restaurant or whatever, they recognize me, and it's just amazing when they make the connection that I was their teacher. In fact, my daughter works for one of my former students' mother who opened up a gourmet cookie shop.
Oh,
Kyrie's
nice.
Cookies, by the way. Go check them out. Dallas, Georgia. Amazing gourmet cookies. And she invented her cookie recipe in her basement. Same thing. We both have a lot of parallels. But I reconnected with a former student just randomly working at a concession stand at Ameris Amphitheater in Alpharetta doing a show, and then we connected the dots and we realized that it was 10 years and she was my student, and it
Oh,
was
wow.
an amazing moment.
That's awesome.
So I do miss it. I do miss the relationships, but luckily I'm really good at keeping up with them.
Yes, she is.
So
That's awesome. If you don't mind, I want to take the conversation out of the renegade a little bit and put it that way with today's society and basically everything that is going on. And I think you coming with that background would be a perfect person to ask this question that where do you see the educational system here in US? There's a lot of conversation around that topic that some people, including myself, call the college biggest scam. Some people are really, really into believing the college is the only way to success. So I want to hear from
I'll
you.
be happy to elaborate on that because I have very dear friends that are extremely successful and didn't go to college.
Right.
You don't have to have, I mean, this is coming from a former college professor. You don't have to have a college degree to be successful. It is not the path for everyone. Everyone has to find their own way. Sometimes the students that ended up in my classroom didn't get there right away. They were, you know, their lives took a different path. They became parents or they served in the military
Mm-hmm.
and then they came back. But higher education isn't for everybody, and it is not necessarily a golden ticket for guaranteed success. But I do believe life is it input equals output. Whatever you put into whatever you
Gorgeous,
do
yeah.
is what you're going to receive. So as long as you work hard and you're consistent and you have that vision, you can really achieve it. And so that's what I believe. I mean, I know that I made a mark and a contribution, and I'm grateful for that. My former job allowed me to speak my views and share my experiences and relate the content that I was teaching to real life. I mean, think about it. Communication is really the only field in which everyone will benefit, regardless of what major or what career path you're going to choose. You have to be able to do this. And
Right.
frankly, people don't know how to do this anymore. They don't. And what I taught these students was the ability to speak with confidence, present on a subject. And even though they were terrified and they just wanted to throw up and pass out, I made them, dig deep and find that confidence and push through. And seeing what they became at the end of the semester, it was like an ugly duckling blossoming into a beautiful swan. And I loved that. I loved seeing that transformation.
Right.
And I missed that. I just don't miss all the other stuff, grading and all that.
I bet.
But
No, it's just because of biggest part of my audience are not in US, and yeah, I mean, believe it or not, actually, the majority of my audience they're actually from Russia.
interesting.
Yes.
We need to bring Renegade Lemonade to Russia.
Yes. So yeah, that was very interesting for me actually when I look at and when I'm analyzing. Majority of the stuff getting the most view is from like Moscow and St. Petersburg.
Interesting. A country I've never been to.
It is beautiful. It
bet.
is
My parents have been there.
beautiful.
They said it was a beautiful country.
It is beautiful, gorgeous. So And those country, like majority of the countries, you're only left with the hope of you only got to go to the college to make something out of yourself. Working hard not gonna get you anywhere basically, unless you have linked, you have connections in some type of like government jobs or like I don't know mafias or whatever. But here in US, you can do it. I'm an example of it myself. My family's example of it, and uh, I mean, the American dream is
Right.
truth. You never hear of a Russian dream or Chinese dream.
No, it is.
Yeah,
I do believe though, luck creates opportunity, and you have to make it. You have to work for it. No one's going to hand it to you on a silver platter.
absolutely.
You've got to go after it, and you've got to have courage. And I think that's what we embody is the spirit of courage, doing something that no one has done before. And I would tell my students this all the time. The word no is a powerful word. We hear it all the time, but we just have to keep persevering because after that next no is your yes.
Mhm.
And you have to keep going for it.
It's a number game,
It is.
isn't it? Right?
It truly is.
Well, it's also about pursuing something that you enjoy.
Right.
I mean, yes, ideally it's something you love,
Hmm.
but it can start with something you enjoy. And you can find that there's different paths there. So not every path is college. I
Mhm.
know my background, technology for the past 20 years. During COVID, I told some people about different certifications that you get for cloud computing.
Hmm.
And so if you need a high school diploma, you can go pass this test, which is a very hard test, but you can pass the test, come out making great money, really great money. And I had several people that reached out to me saying they were interested. Out of them, one went through the program and finished it up, and he's doing well.
Right.
And it's something that, you can get out there. She's saying what you put into it is what you get
Absolutely.
out of it. And so if you want to be a cybersecurity expert, you want to be a cloud computing expert, you want to be a lineman, if you want to be a plumber, if you want to be whatever, I mean, those guys make great money.
The plumber is really
Yeah,
good.
they make great money.
Don't forget
So-
about the air conditioning.
Yes.
Yeah.
My family is coming from plumbing
Oh.
industry, so yeah,
Okay.
I'm the only one that is not fully entrepreneur or have my own business. The entire family that are entrepreneur generation after
Well,
generation.
you're so young, you can.
Correct.
You can
Thank
fall
you.
into
I
it.
appreciate you. So I have one more question, and then we get back to the Renegade.
Okay.
So there's a phrase out there that I love it. There's this quote that says, "Tough times create hard-working people, and those hard-working people or people create good times. Those good times create soft people, and the soft people create hard times." So half of it was a translation too. So, but you get the point.
No, I get the point. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
if you want to think about that, and looking at today's society, where do you think what stage we are right now?
We being who?
Like as an entire society.
Mm.
Well, I tell you my point of view, and then you look at it and see if you agree with it or not. I feel like those tough times created a good hardworking people, and those people created a really good times, and those good times was the last generation that created the good times for us and soft people, and now these soft people
Don't
are
wanna
left
work for-
to
Right.
create our future.
So, I'll take that right there. And that, I think that for generations, you hear the same thing.
Hmm.
You guys are softer than we are. You guys are softer than we are. You didn't know, you didn't walk two miles uphill in the snow backwards.
Barefoot.
Yeah, barefoot.
Barefoot.
It's always been that kind of thing. I think
Right.
it shifts.
Mhm.
It certainly is different with the internet, with phones, with technology. There's lots of downsides to that. But if you also look, there's lots of creativity that
Right.
comes out of it.
Mhm.
And we've got 4 daughters, and they're all completely different.
Hmm.
And some can fall into the one where you'd say a millennial or this or that, but the creativeness that daughter has is just phenomenal.
Right.
And so there are different attributes, and certainly you can go on. This generation is not as
Industrious.
industrious, is not as hardworking, but I think it's just different. And that's my take on
It
it.
also
like
is
that.
a cultural
Yeah.
issue because regardless, I mean, not say regardless, it depends on what your values are, how you were raised, what's important to your family, etc. You know, whether you were told you can't leave food on your plate, you have to have a clean plate,
Yeah.
or you know,
I
whatever it
remember.
is, right? There's certain things that you are not going to understand until you become an adult.
Right.
And I'm seeing this full circle because our oldest is about to be 23, and so many things the light bulb is coming on, you know, and it's
Mm.
just such a magical moment when they get it. Because you don't want to be right. You're not there to be, you know, the enforcer, the gatekeeper. But
Right.
you're being a parent is a hard job. You have to raise a good human, and that is literally the hardest job in the world. To
No joke.
raise
Yeah.
someone to be able to be an independent, strong individual that could
Absolutely.
then lead their own family. And there's a time where, you know, experience is a good teacher, right?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So I think we learn by the failures and we learn by doing. And I always like to tell my children, it's better to learn from someone else's failures and someone else's mistakes rather than your own. So keep your eyes open, keep
Absolutely.
your ears open, watch what's going on, and be aware.
But back to the thing too, it's also such a global community now.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas you're exposed to so many things that we weren't when we were younger.
Right.
And we were in our own society, and now we have just this open access to the world,
Which is amazing.
and it's amazing, but it also complicates things.
It does.
And so people are looking for meaning. They're looking for how they can change the world. And it was, I think it was easier when you've just got your community
Mm-hmm.
and your local paper, and you could go out and you can do some stuff in your community and make a difference. And you can still do that today, but just with everything amplified, it doesn't
Mhm.
seem like you're making a difference.
Correct. And there's so many voices out there that sometimes these differences are getting lost between the rest of the voices out there. I love it. I love the both of you guys' point of view on that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Going back to Renegade.
Okay.
Yes. This is like
That's delicious.
growing on me.
It's
Yeah.
growing on you.
Yeah.
Even Alex is drinking it.
It's good.
Mhm.
So you explained a little bit about what is coming next.
Mhm.
So you are experimenting on some bubbles, sparkling. Let's go back to that. How much of a fun you have with that?
A lot of fun. I've got several. I've narrowed it down to the 3 versions that I'm experimenting with, and maybe we'll invite you over when we
Oh,
have
please!
it.
I would
Yes.
We're
love
gonna do a
that.
taste test on just which one
Yeah.
people like, because when you add bubbles to it, it changes.
Right.
Mhm.
And so we just had to modify things, and it's a fun exercise going through. But at the same time, I'm doing a sparkling version of this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at a lower alcohol version sparkling one that I can put in a can. So that's again having to manipulate it and change things around. And it's not where I just want to add some soda water to dilute it and do it. No, I want it to be fermented.
Right.
Mhm.
I want it to be,
You don't want it to
to
taste
come out. I want it to taste,
delicious.
like this.
Yeah. Not just watered down or
Yeah. So we're trying to come up with the right versions, but I also, this stands well on its own. The sparkling version is going to stand well on its own, but I want a lower alcohol version that you can bring to the pool. You can bring
Mhm.
out to the lake if you want.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Wherever you want it.
I can.
So
imagine
that's coming. Some flavors are coming.
that. Mm-hmm.
The single orchard ones are coming.
But the
I've got-
base is always
the
lemon.
base is all
the
going to be
base is
lemon.
always-
Okay.
Yeah, lemon. It's something. It's lemons mix universally with the cocktails, but it also mixes with other things. And as I'm experimenting, I'm not going to go into detail on it, but I'm fermenting those other fruits.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of you get flavored wines out there
Yeah.
where they just add some flavoring to it. I want to get that natural flavor of the fermentation.
Nice.
I want to get it, but that has some challenges too. Like for instance, pineapple.
Right.
I can't solve pineapple right now. And people are like, just use, flavoring, use this. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. Because when you ferment pineapples, it's like you have a pineapple that you leave out too long on the
Yeah.
shelf, and it has that taste. That's what
It's like
fermented
cooking it.
pineapple tastes like.
Okay.
And I'm like, no, I don't like that taste.
Mhm.
So I'm, just playing around, and maybe pineapple won't make it.
Okay.
But some of the ones that have
but
been
we'll see.
amazing, pomegranate,
Okay.
blueberry,
Peach.
peach, cherry.
The pomegranate sounds really
Pomegranate
nice.
is divine.
Yeah, that's
Because
been
it's
the
just-
overall favorite, because it's like a tart on tart,
Yes.
and it
Yes.
does really well.
And it's so interesting because in that side of the world, pomegranate wine is such a huge favorite to everybody.
Is it?
It is.
Is
I
it?
didn't
Yeah.
know that.
That's good to
Especially
know.
like when you get like most of the wine from Georgia country, from Armenia, from like some part of the Russia, even Turkish wine, like you get that pomegranate flavor to it all over it. And here it's very, very like rare to see that. I found one a sparkling wine from France that has some type of pomegranate flavor to it, but it's not very unique. I mean, very common to see it here. So pomegranate is always my fave because
Awesome.
it
Well,
brings
next
a
time we
story.
make some,
Yes.
we're gonna get a bottle
we
of
gotta get
Sep.
a bottle over to Sep.
Absolutely, would love that. Would love that. Thank you so much. This is fun. I'm loving it. We're gonna wrap this up with this question of now when you see your bottles out there and you see this becomes a excuse or reason for people to get together, creating some joyful moment, some unforgettable moment, how that makes you feel? It's a
Sure.
loaded question.
It's totally. I mean, there's just really no words. It's really. Sometimes I feel like I'm in a movie watching something outside of ourselves, because I still sometimes can't believe that we did this, and it just makes me so happy. I mean, it's just every time I have the opportunity to taste someone and share the story, and they buy a bottle. I mean, every customer along the way has been vital and important and cherished and appreciated. And I just think it's amazing to think that we're part of, because I've had people tell me, oh, I'm bringing this to a wedding, I'm bringing this to a party, a graduation, a picnic, a birthday. And it just makes me so proud to know that we're a part of that.
Yeah, and so honored. I mean, like this past weekend, I did an event, and it was an art walk, and it was really cool, an event that we did. And there was one guy that came up, and he's like, "I just love this wine. It's so good." I'm like, "Well, thank you. I'm glad you really enjoy my wine." He's like, "Your wine?" And he's like, "Hey, you make this?" And he was like flustered, like, "Oh my God, I can't believe it!" Like, and I'm like, "Yeah, just make the wine," But it's just a new experience, kind of stuff. But yeah, we're just extremely thankful for everybody that are out there, that are talking about us, that are getting out pitching us, because
Absolutely.
that's the way we're going to spread.
Absolutely.
Is you telling the person at your job or your friend or on your podcast, and the person that tries us at a festival going out and saying, "Oh my God, you gotta try this lemon wine."
Absolutely.
And so that's what we have to do.
Which,
But
by the way, that's the best way.
Oh yeah, and we're just so honored. I mean, it is. We come home and we're just like, wow, I can't believe that.
Yeah.
I just can't believe all the people that were waiting in line to get our wine. I can't
That's
believe,
awesome.
The posts that they're doing. It's just, we're very honored.
That's awesome. I am very happy. I appreciate both of you. Thank you both for coming here tonight. This is definitely one of my favorite episodes. And thanks to both of you.
Thank you. Cheers.
We're gonna definitely cheers to that.